I'm Tewalde Estefanos, and this is ERISAT's The Power of One program. Today is June 21st, 2024. Dr. Mohamed Abdusalam Babiker is my guest today. Dr. Babiker is an associate professor of international law at the University of Khartoum and founding director of its Human Rights Center. Dr. Babiker has a PhD in international humanitarian law from University of Nottingham, LLB degree from City University London, master's degree in English Arabic, applied linguistics and translation, MBA degree in English and French. In 2020, Dr. Babiker was appointed as UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Eritrea. Special rapporteurs are independent experts in the UN human rights system, whose mandate is fact-finding and monitoring of country-specific situations or other thematic topics. Dr. Babiker's finding in Eritrea covered the period from April 2023 to April 2024. His report focuses on Eritrea's indefinite military service, repression of religious freedom, violations of civil and political rights, and arbitrary detentions and disappearances. Welcome, Dr. Babiker, and thank you for being here. Your report highlights Eritrea's permanent state of mobilization, leading to individual persecution of draft evaders and collective punishment of their families and communities. What examples did your findings uncover related to crimes against individuals, families, and communities?
Good morning. Thank you for having me for this interview, and also this is an opportunity to provide a background about my mandate. And actually, my mandate, I started working on Eritrea in November 2020. Immediately, after the eruption of the armed conflict in Tigray region. Mm-hmm. Links to your question about mobilization, because this is like a new front, a new war took place in the region, in the Tigray region, and then a process of mobilization started in terms of recruitment, in terms of intensification of rounding up of civilians. And you know, the involvement of the Eritrean armed forces in the conflict of Tigray. Mm-hmm. So I started my mandate and then covered issues related to not exactly happening in Eritrea, but actually happening extraterritorially in Ethiopia. Although my mandate mainly focuses on the human rights situation inside Eritrea.
Right.
But if you, I can give you like a background about my mandate and the scope of the issues that I cover as part of the work, if you like.
Right. I guess basically what I was trying to get was the violations, the human rights violations related to individuals, families, and communities. I think in your report you mentioned homes demolished, crops destroyed, and cattle starved, which in economic terms really destroys the community. So those are the examples, the kinds of examples I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, basically, the human rights, the mandate on Eritrea, the Human Rights Council resolution each year, the mandate includes basically all human rights violations taking place in the country, mm-hmm. including freedom of expression, freedom of religion, media freedoms, also, and of course, violations taking place in the context of national military service, right. And also now my report even and also covering the situation of Eritrean refugees and asylum seekers globally, in the region and also in other host countries. So it is a very wide mandate.
It is, yeah.
So for the last 4 years since I started, I cover all these aspects as part of the report. So it is very wide. It is very inclusive, and in terms of monitoring, I have to cover all aspects affecting human rights issues.
Yeah. So I'll just tell our listeners to really read the whole report. But you were also denied access to Eritrea, and you were unable to gather in-country first-hand information. What impact, if any, did this have on the quality of your reporting?
Actually, I'm glad that you raised this issue. Yes, I don't have access to Eritrea. Also, my predecessors at the other two rapporteurs, they don't also have access to the country. The Commission of Inquiry also in Eritrea didn't get access to the country. And of course, this affects to get first-hand information on the ground. As part of my investigation methodology, I use different techniques in order to get information so that the quality of the reporting will not be affected. As part of the investigation process and the methodology, I use like interact with Eritreans in the diaspora, interact with civil society organizations, with academics, with experts of knowledge of the situation. I also interact with governments, and also with I have also a wide network of Eritreans. Then I can get the information, but with high level of verification and corroboration. But of course, the denial of access is actually it is one of the challenges facing the mandate, not only for me, also for other my predecessors.
So were you able to connect with former regime officials who have defected and are currently living in the diaspora? Just curious if you got any credible information from any of them.
I meet with a large, wide sector of the Eritrean diaspora, people, former officials, former judges, former academics, former human rights activists who love the country, and I get credible information. And also I have my network also in the region.
Of course, yeah. You called for the immediate and complete withdrawal of any remaining Eritrean troops from Ethiopian territory. When was the last time Eritrean troops' presence was confirmed outside of sovereign Eritrean territory? In other words, are they still in Ethiopia?
As we speak now, they are still in Ethiopia, and this is covered in my report. And this is why I called yesterday when I presented my report to the Human Rights Council. I emphasized that Eritrea should withdraw from the Tigray region, basically because their presence affected the rights of many refugees in the region, in particular Eritrean refugees, as you are aware, and I covered this matter in the previous reports, how four refugee camps were destroyed in the Tigray part of Ethiopia. So all these are human rights concerns. I also engage with the government of Ethiopia about this issue, and I also communicated this matter to the Human Rights Council.
Right. What is the source of that information? There are also contentious border issues. For example, Eritrea claims Babiker area is sovereign Eritrean territory Ethiopia occupied in the 1998 war. So are we talking about the border areas only, or actually deep inside Ethiopia?
We're talking about the border areas and other places. And actually, it is related, as you rightly mentioned, to the Babiker arbitration. And yesterday I asked for the respect of the award, the Commission award, and also the respect of the 2018 agreement.
Right.
In this context, but there is also some confirmation statements issued by the Eritrean government in this respect regarding claiming that they have claiming that these areas are actually fundamentally part of the Eritrean
Right.
soil.
Yeah. What is the condition of Eritrean refugees in Tigray and other parts of Ethiopia?
Also, I'm glad that you mentioned, you covered this. During the past reporting period, and my reporting period normally covers from April 2023 until April 2024. During this period, there is some expulsions of Eritreans from Ethiopia, and I also engage with the Ethiopian government about the expulsion of refugees. So the situation is very dire. There are also other issues related to registration of refugees in Ethiopia. But all my mandate not only covering Ethiopia, covering also the situation of refugees in the region. As you know, many refugees used to be living in, and some of them are still living in Sudan. They also moved to other places because of the displacement, the war taking place in Khartoum and in other regions in Sudan. This also affected the Eritrean, the situation of the Eritrean refugees. And also, as you know, I spent a lot of time focusing on the protection of refugees and asylum seekers who apply for asylum, not only in the region, but also in Europe and other places. And also there is issues related to human trafficking, and exploitation of asylum seekers and refugees. As you know, a sizable number of Eritreans left the country for multiple reasons, including because of the military service.
The military service, yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is one of the key push factors for Eritreans to leave the country. So my mandate basically covers not only the human rights situation inside the country, but also the protection of asylum seekers abroad. Some of them sometimes face risk of deportation and deportation, and then they might be exposed to any form of torture or inhuman or degrading treatment.
Right. Yeah. The government has refused to engage with you and former special rapporteurs, and yet the violations continue, including imprisonment of children. Your report also documents alleged international crimes, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. So given all these violations, what is the likelihood of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, going after Isaias and his accomplices?
Actually, as you are aware, the issue of accountability is an important issue for the mandate and also for victim rights. And this is an issue which is critical in Eritrea. My 4 previous reports documented a lot of violations. Also, not only taking place in Eritrea, but also taking place in the Tigray region and the involvement of the Eritrean armed forces. As you know, the Commission of Inquiry report was documented in details the commission of international crimes. But this is the responsibility of the Human Rights Council to refer any situation related to accountability as part of the efforts of the ICC. It is not the role of the special rapporteur. Special rapporteur has a specific mandate to document violations and to report on these violations.
Yeah. Yeah. In your report, you mentioned Canada, Switzerland, and other countries cooperated with your efforts to collect information. But you also mentioned other countries who did not grant you permission to visit. Can you tell us which countries denied you access and why?
Actually, yes, Canada. I had the visit to Canada. I had a visit to the UK. I had a visit to Switzerland, and also to other countries. Other countries actually, they did not literally denied me access, but actually they did not respond to my requests, and I still waiting to get access to these countries, so that I will get I will be able to meet victims and those who have first-hand information, so that I will be able to include in my report and verify. I'm still waiting for these countries to give me access, and I hope that to get them. Now I'm in Geneva. I speak to many delegations about having access. I spoke to different groups, different blocks at the Human Rights Council, including the African groups and some members, so that they will be able to facilitate my mandate, because the mandate is provided by the Human Rights Council. And this is the responsibility of the Human Rights Council to facilitate access to some countries, and also and hopefully access to Eritrea.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Were you able to visit Eritreans in Israel? I'm sure you probably talked to them on the phone, but were you able to visit them in country?
No, I didn't. Not yet. I'm still investigating the problems taken in Israel, which is really very sad.
Yeah.
And I reported this year in my report, which is one of the key findings about repression of transnational repression of Eritreans, not only in Israel but also in other places in Europe and actually in other places. It's happening globally. I'm now engaging with some host countries in order to discuss the situation of the violence, destruction of property, and the community in the diaspora. And I think this is really an important issue. This is the first time to be covered in special rapporteur's reports, and I hope to be able to really to resolve some issues. And my main concern is actually the protection of refugees living outside, which I think is one of the key challenges need to be addressed.
Right, exactly. So I know you don't have much time, so I'll kind of rush through my questions. According to your report, the government uses the Orthodox Tewahedo Church in the diaspora to promote regime views. And the church actually, intimidates, isolates individuals with different views than the government. Did you get a chance to talk to church leaders or members of the church to get a sense why the church has fallen to such levels of complicity and really abandoning its the moral leadership one expects from a church?
Yes, I had the chance to speak to many church leaders in different cities outside. The situation is really, even for the church, the level of control by the Eritrean government, not only inside Eritrea, but even outside, over the church. And as you know, the religious institutions in general are important and represent a threat to the Eritrean regime, Eritrean government, if they're actually seen as organized. And in some situations, the Eritrean government have their own assessments with regard to the with regard to religious groups, and I managed to speak with different church leaders, and I got a lot of information related to how the church operates in Eritrea, and the level of control exerted by the Eritrean government inside, and also, as you are aware, the prolonged detentions of many church leaders, including the Orthodox Church. So this is an area, if you examine my report, is extensively covered, and the issue of religious freedoms is really one of the key important aspects covered each year in my report, and also in my presentation to the Human Rights Council and also to the General Assembly.
Yeah. One last question before I let you go. I know you have another interview lined up. So you urge nations to exert maximum pressure on Eritrea, but Eritrea's human rights record seems to be getting worse in spite of the admirable work you and your colleagues have done already and will probably continue to do. Are you optimistic these investigations will make any difference at all? And what other tools does the international community have to exert this maximum pressure on Eritrea as you suggest?
Yes, this is a very good question. And it seems that we are hinting that the mandate is not helpful for the past, since it was created. And I think this is the view of many Eritreans, especially after the Commission of Inquiries. There is a lot of hope about accountability and about victim rights. And when I started, I felt there is a lot of, there is no enthusiasm about the effectiveness of this mandate. But my key message to Eritreans is actually the mandate value is the documentation and investigation of human rights, of human rights violations. And the report in itself is an important document which could be used for accountability purposes. So this is one of the key values of this report. And I hope the mandate will continue so that Eritrea will be in the focus with regard to the appalling human rights situation. And there are many, as you know. The mandate also has a value for the protection of Eritrean refugees and asylum seekers globally. As you know, many people actually in the diaspora, and the report is one of the key and credible sources of information. The report has its value in terms of being used for accountability purposes now and in the future, and can be used for the purpose of universal jurisdiction. As you know, other countries that can use it for accountability. The report also influences the policy and decision making in the UN human rights system, and also influencing developments with regard to decision taken at the level of Eritrea engagement with UPR process, Universal Periodic Review, which is a process, an important process. Eritrea each 4 years provide a report about to what extent it actually observes the human rights situation in the country. So many UN member states rely on the report to provide recommendations. So the mandate has a direct and indirect influence over the human rights situation in the country, and I hope it will continue in order to serve the rights of the Eritrean people in the future and now.
So unfortunately, we have to leave it here because you have to go. But Dr. Babiker, I appreciate your efforts in documenting the inhumanity the Eritrean people are subjected to during these difficult times. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Thanks a lot. Thank you.